Times Square is looking a lot like its bad old self, with vagrants, boozy migrants, junkies, and scofflaws making the Crossroads of the world look more like the third world, infuriating those who played an important role in its cleanup. You can feel it when you walk through there. New Yorkers and tourists alike said they were mortified the city's brand has turned into something out of Taxi Driver. In the last 2 years, major crime has rocketed 50% in the NYPD's Midtown South precinct, which encompasses Times Square, Grand Central Terminal, Madison Square Garden, and the Port Authority bus terminal, and is up 28% compared to 13 years ago, according to NYPD data. Tourist Sylvana Kulscar from Alberta, Canada, expected the pristine Times Square she sees on TV but was shocked by the reality. "We saw a man today, and the only thing he had on was a garbage bag around his waist. He didn't know where he was going, and it was just bad. We had this expectation of Times Square, and then to come here and see it," said Kulscar, 35, shaking her head. Adding to the seedy new tableau are the thousands of migrants being housed by the city in 3 nearby hotels turned shelters who constantly loiter and cause issues, according to a doorman at the New Amsterdam Theater on West 42nd Street. "All of the drinking and delinquency out here, all of these immigrants, they're changing things. Their trash is everywhere," he griped. A total of 7 persons have been indicted for attacking the New York Police Department officers at Times Square, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg announced Thursday during a joint press conference with New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Henry Brito, 24, was charged with assault, obstruction, and evidence tampering. 4 others, 19-year-old Darwin Andres Gomez Izquiel, 21-year-old Wilson Juarez, 19-year-old Kelvin Servita Aroca, and 24-year-old Yorman Reveron, were charged with assault and obstructing governmental administration. The other 2 suspects have not been identified. Mr. Bragg strongly condemned the attacks during the press conference. "This assault sickens me and outrages me. We all rely on our members of the NYPD every day to keep us safe and keep this the safest big city in America," he said. "I do not tolerate attacks on our police officers." Today's indictment follows a painstaking joint investigation between the NYPD and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, he told reporters. "I stand here today confident that we have identified the roles of every person who broke the law and participated in this heinous attack. The NYPD is still looking for 2 other suspects who were at the scene and has asked the public to help." Times Square 2 overnight stabbings near the Times Square 42nd Street subway station are sparking new police investigations and revamping conversations around subway safety. In the first incident, police are on the hunt for 4 people after a 31-year-old man was stabbed just after 11:30 p.m. at the 42nd Street Port Authority bus terminal station. While the victim is expected to be okay, an active investigation is underway. According to police, the people responsible surrounded the victim before the stabbing. The suspects apparently got away on the southbound to CE lines. Hours later, a 24-year-old man was slashed on the arm at the Times Square 42nd Street station around 3:30 a.m. The victim and a 25-year-old suspect apparently got into an argument before violence broke out on the No. 7 subway train platform. The suspect was taken into police custody and was later identified as Michael Hernandez of Brooklyn. MTA officials say subway crime is down nearly 7% this year, nearly 11% in the last month and 11% from 2019. MTA Chair and CEO Janno Lieber said that is a major step forward and they can focus more on subway crime. "I think that we could really knock those numbers down even further if we start to put the recidivists out of the system. The people who get 5 to 10 to 20 to 50 arrests every year, and there are a lot of them that are committing a disproportionate amount of the crime," he said. 3 people were slashed and another pepper sprayed and bitten near Times Square overnight into Wednesday, both in the subway and out on the street, authorities said. The spate of unrelated attacks ended with a 26-year-old man slashed on his right arm as he stood on the 7 train platform at the Times Square subway hub about 3:45 a.m., cops said. The victim claimed the suspect had accosted him previously and, once confronted, the stranger knifed him in return, according to police sources. The wounded man showed cops a photo of his attacker, and the suspect, identified as Michael Hernandez, 25, of Brooklyn, was soon busted by police, according to authorities and sources. In an unrelated attack around 1 a.m., Sarah Flores, 19, was walking through Bryant Park at West 42nd Street and 6th Avenue when she told Jennifer Tompkins, 30, a complete stranger, that a group had just jumped her, cops said. Tompkins warned Flores to leave her alone or she'd pepper spray her, but Flores persisted, according to police. Then an all-out brawl ensued between the women, with Tompkins allegedly pepper spraying Flores and biting her on the lip, and Flores stabbing Tompkins in the head and the ribs, cops said. Both women were arrested with assault and menacing, both in the second degree, police said. Flores is from the Bronx and Tompkins from Queens, authorities said. The earliest assault unfolded around 11:30 p.m. Tuesday, when a 31-year-old man was slashed in the stomach after getting into an argument with another man on the southbound A-C&E platform, cops said. A total of 276 such crimes were reported from the beginning of the year through Sunday, compared to 244 during the same period in 2023, the latest data show. Overall felony crime, however, is down in the precincts confined so far this year, with 1,766 incidents reported compared to 2022 last year. Thomas Anderson, 49, said those crime statistics made him feel nervous before visiting the city from Vermont for the first time this week. The problem is that if people don't have options, they commit crimes, he said. Sherry, a commuter from Suffolk County, is glad that she is strictly in the city until 5 p.m. every day. She blames crime on the legalization of weed and poor mental health. There's a lot of mental health that comes into play, and there's just not enough help out there, so unfortunately other people are the victims of that, she said. Michael Harwood, 36, and his father Warren Harwood, 62, said they didn't find crime to be as big an issue as it's made out to be, especially on the subway. It's not as bad as they say it is. It comes in spurts, Michael said. Earlier this year, you were inundated with incidents on the subway, and now there's none. I think after the National Guard came in the blink of an eye, and now they're not there. Times Square, the NYPD has arrested the suspect who allegedly stabbed a 55-year-old man to death near Times Square. Kevin Young, 38, has been charged with first-degree manslaughter, police said. It happened just before 1 a.m. Tuesday morning inside a building on West 43rd Street near 8th Avenue. The 55-year-old man was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital where he later died, police said. It is unclear what exactly led to the stabbing. Midtown, Manhattan, a man was fatally stabbed in a homeless shelter near Times Square early Tuesday morning, according to the NYPD. The victim was stabbed in the chest with a knife in the shelter on West 43rd Street around 1 a.m., police said. The victim was taken to Mount Sinai West in critical condition. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital, per police. A 55-year-old man was stabbed to death during a Tuesday clash between tenants inside a Times Square supportive housing residence, police said. The victim was knifed in the torso during a fight inside the site called Breaking Ground on W43rd St., near 8th Ave. Around 12:50 a.m., cops said. Medics rushed the victim, who lived at the residence, to Mount Sinai West, where he later died. His name was not immediately released. Roxanne Fleury, a 26-year-old from Quebec City, said a creepy man tried to lure her and her friend to an unknown place while they were in Times Square on Wednesday. He was like, "Do you want to come with us someplace?" It was strange, she recalled, adding that the conditions in Times Square were very different than those in Soho, where they were staying. Adding to the seedy new tableau are the thousands of migrants being housed by the city in 3 nearby hotels turned shelters who constantly loiter and cause issues, according to a doorman at the New Amsterdam Theater on West 42nd Street. All of the drinking and delinquency out here, all of these immigrants, they're changing things. Their trash is everywhere, he griped. The Candler Building on West 42nd Street, the Row Hotel on 8th Avenue, and Hotel Mela on West 44th Street are all now being used to house migrants as they flood into the city. The nonprofit responsible for the upkeep and improvement of Times Square recently pushed for the managers of the nearby migrant shelters to increase their outdoor security patrols and to take out their own trash. We've been working with NYC health hospitals, the folks that manage, and been trying to make sure they increase their outdoor patrols of the area, which I've heard from several businesses in the area that they have said, Tom Harris, president of the Times Square Alliance. But the amount of trash the shelters produce, and who has to deal with it, are still prevalent problems. They're making a lot of money catering to this crisis, and they need to make sure that they maintain their building. It's not the city's responsibility to make sure that the outside of these buildings is clean. It's the building managers, Harris said.